In this video, we're going to look at accessing the benchmark cut scores for each of the tests available in FastBridge. So once you're logged into FastBridge, you will go to the Training and Resources tab. And at the top, you will see this Benchmarks and Norms box, and we'll click Open. In Benchmarks, I can select any test I want to look at. So I'll just do A reading. It will come up with every grade level down here. You may want to clear the grades and just select the one or two that you want to look at so you don't get such an overwhelming chart. So I will get 7th grade and then I'll click Submit. And scrolling down, I'll just get this little chart that tells me the cut scores for fall, winter, and spring. So if I'm looking at fall scores, to be high risk would be scoring less than a 510.4. So any score less than that by a 7th grader puts them at high risk. To be at some risk, that student would have to be less than the 526.7 and above the 510.4. So your high risk, your some risk students fall between these two numbers. And then to be what's considered on track, a student would have to be above this 526.7. And then to be on the college pathway or the advanced category, if we're looking at a test that has that, that's a greater than or equal to 543.9. So your students that score in that blue or that college pathway are scoring above 543.9. Your students scoring green, which means no risk, are scoring between the 526 and the 543 numbers. Your students that are yellow, so our some risk, are scoring between 510.4 and 526. And your students that are the red or the high risk are less than the 510.4. And you'll notice that those numbers change in each window. That expectation grows a little bit. You can switch to any other test up here and any grade level to view the cut scores for each test that you give. If you're wanting to look at norms instead of benchmarks, you would do that by toggling up here. You'll see I have the minus on benchmarks. I could select norms by changing that plus to a minus. And now I'm looking at norms. Again, I can select any test. So we'll just do A reading again for comparison's sake. And I'll go ahead and just select, this time I might select a few grade levels. If I had a 7th grader that scored a 515, and I know that that's below benchmark for 7th grade, but then I want to know kind of where that puts them, I could look at norms, okay, and these are 5th grade norms. So if that student were, say, a 5th grader scoring a 515, they'd be at the 45th percentile in the fall, 35th in the winter, 30th in the spring. Then I could look at the 6th grade level. Okay, that same 515 for a 6th grader would put them in between the 35th and 40th percentiles, 25th to 30th, and the 25th for a 6th grader, and so on. So by switching to norms, you can then see where the cut score places the student percentile-wise and at some different grade levels. So that is benchmarks and norms, again, found by going to Training and Resources and selecting that benchmarks and norms column at the top.